Yo, what's poppin', and welcome to Bhroman Braapsody.
I know you're mad about the Goldwing video that I did by myself, but you have a new host?
Yeah, and he's politically correct. Look, he's wearing his mask.
He's wearing his mask. Come on now, this is not cool.
Bro, welcome home, man. How are you?
Thank you, Professor. I'm good.
I don't want to steal your thunder. Please, please, do your thing.
Yo, what's poppin'? Welcome to Bhroman Braapsody, and we're back at Motorcycles of Greensboro with the Professor. First of all, guys, join us in congratulating the Professor.
Oh.
The Professor is a brand new grandfather.
Yes.
Congratulations,
yes.
Professor.
Thank you very much.
From me and everybody on the Bhroman universe.
Thank you. And that's the reason why they're gonna click on the subscribe button below.
Yes, that's why you're gonna hit that like and subscribe button down below. We put out content every week. Show us some love, hit that like and subscribe button.
The family's growing and you gotta be part of it.
Part of it.
So,
yeah.
Back in the early 60s, when everybody was having a great time, it was all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and motorcycles were part of it. The Scrambler was a big part of everybody's motorcycling experience. Well, Ducati wasn't above that at all, and they joined the Scrambler forces. So there was a Scrambler back in the early 60s that lasted for quite some time, and because everybody just wanted to be able to go anywhere and do anything, and they were in no hurry to get there. Cool factor, 100.
1,000.
Okay,
1,000.
Add a zero. Okay.
1,000. Just look at this bike. It just screams cool.
Factor 1,000.
And I think the Scrambler lineup of Ducati, I think there's about what? 8 or 9 models within the Scrambler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there are several different versions of it, starting with the Icon, and the Icon comes in 3 different colors, including, if you want to include the dark in there, the Night Shift, which is more of a cafe-ish type motorcycle, more of an urban assault type thing. Then the Desert Sled is actually definitely being the top seller.
And you know what word comes to mind when I look at any Scrambler, not just the Desert Sled? Minimalistic.
Exactly.
Because you have just enough stuff on here.
Yes, right.
Nothing. No fancy TFT LCD display.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's back to basics. It's what it is. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it too, because it invokes accessorization, personalization, which basically means it goes back to the basics of motorcycling, which is make it your own.
However you want it.
If you can envision it, here's your blank, almost blank canvas. You know what's funny is that you see this bike and immediately it makes you think throwback. Yes. Right? The colors are vintagey. The seat is a bench seat. Yeah, just the whole thing. It's just immediately.
It's got some Panigale features. You have cornering ABS, yes, traction control, adjustable suspension, manually adjustable, but adjustable. Even like these side panels, if you drop them and you break them, like these things on the tank, you can replace them without it costing an arm and a leg.
Well, you just remove the little panel, and actually you could even replace it with a completely different looking panel. Now, you don't have to damage it in order to replace it.
You can just
do it for the fun of just having something that looks different.
Hey, but if you're gonna take it off-road, might as well get it a few scars, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, actually, the new addition to Motorcycles of Greensboro, Brandon, his Desert Sled has a few scars because he does do some off-roading with it. Actually, a lot of off-roading with it. And when you're off-roading, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And it's not just dropping it, it's like you go through bushes or whatever, and they're gonna get a few beauty marks. You mind if I do a quick walk around?
Absolutely, please be my guest.
All right, so let's start from the front. It's got that high front fender, which looks like a beak. As for your headlights, it has this LED halo, that's your DRL, with this like little protective cover on it. Really cool. This cover says X. And that's the symbol for the Ducati Scrambler line, the X. You'll see that on the fuel tank as well. You have these turn signals here, and these look a little cheap of sorts, you might think at first go. But remember, the purpose of this bike is to take it off-road, and you are gonna drop it. Those are relatively cheaper parts than your regular Ducati parts. So if you wanna change them, they're not gonna break the bank. Now moving on to the side, it's got a single disc up front. And check out the wheels, man. I love the golden wheels on this motorcycle. And this has a 24-degree rake angle. What's a rake angle, you ask? Well, draw a perpendicular from the steering mount, follow the fork tube, That's your rake angle. Shorter the rake angle, the more nimble the bike is, and larger the rake angle, the more stable it is at higher speeds and highway speeds. I'm moving along the side. Just check out this beautiful paint, man. The blue, and you have this little retro theme going on here with the Scrambler. On the side of the fuel tank, you have the X, which kind of corresponds with the headlights that we just showed. And these panels, these panels on either side, these are removable. So you can change this out to different colors if you want to, or whatever. So and the other thing is, if you drop the bike and this get damaged, these are relatively inexpensive to fix. That's your 803cc L-twin that puts out about 73 horses and 49.4 foot-pound of torque. It's got a little trellis frame going on, the beautiful dual exhaust. And if you look down below, it's also got a skid plate. So they want you to take this off-road and have some good fun with it. This has a 59-inch wheelbase, and that's about 456 pounds in wet weight. Rear tire, same thing, beautiful golden rims. Knobby sort of tires, but not really. These are street friendly as well. Walking around to the back, I love how they put the tail light like right underneath the seat, so it's kind of hidden, but it works really well. Again, you have the turn signals and the little fender with that with the license plate holder down below. I'm sure most people get a fender eliminator kit to get rid of this and clean this up, tail tidy kit of sorts. It's got chain drive. This is a manually adjustable suspension. The rear suspension is manually adjustable. As for the seat, it's a narrow seat, single seat. Again, reminiscent of the older years, the yesteryears. It's kind of like a throwback design. Single seat. It's narrow up front, so you can stand up and grab onto the bike. And look at the seat. It's got like red contrast stitching. I like that. These are like tiny little attention to detail, makes it so gorgeous. And the top of the seat is kind of rough, so that, you know, if you're going through mud and rain and stuff, you can just brush it off and not be too worried about it. This is the fuel tank. It's a narrow fuel tank, and look, it says born free. Check out the handlebars. You have nice mirrors on both sides, little wide handlebars like you would expect on a dirt bike or something that you take off-road. Steering stabilizer here. As for your handlebar controls, on the left hand side on top you have your passing lights, high beam, low beam. This is to go through the menu, and these are your turn signals. So if you turn it one side or the other, it's a turn signal, or if you press it in, you can toggle through the different menu options and then hit it again to select it. And then at the bottom you have the horn. The right hand side is pretty basic. You have your starter switch, you have your kill switch and your starter, the DRL, your daytime running lights, and you have your hazards. Again, going on with the whole minimalistic design, you don't want too many things on your bike. If it's a scrambler and you're trying to take it off-road, you want it to be as simple as possible. But you have this nice round display here, and that's a digital display. I like how it's kind of sort of throwback looking. Now this has a regular key. It's not keyless ignition, which again is good, because if you're taking this bike off-road, you don't want the key fob in your pocket and it falling somewhere. Rather have the key in here where it's secure. Turn it on. That turns this thing on. Check it out. They give you a lot of good stuff here. You have the bottom half here is a digital tachometer, and you have warning lights on both sides. Turn signals, low fuel, high DRL, engine oil, ABS, neutral. You have a digital fuel gauge. It tells you which gear you're on, your side stand indicator, your time, and your speedometer. And over here is the menu that you can toggle through. Hit the up and down button. You go into their settings. That's your outside temperature, fuel range, trip 1, trip 2, and your total odometer. Now if you go into settings and press the menu button, you have your riding modes. Press it again. These are your riding modes. You have journey and off-road. So those are your two options. You can enter your PIN code, set your clock, date settings, when your service is due, your backlight settings, your DRL settings, your units, turn indicators, or you could have it at your you could have a digital readout of your RPMs or your...
So can you tell our viewers a little bit about Motorcycles of Greensboro?
We here are developing a new thought process, a new theory about what a motorcycle dealership is. Here we share our experiences. We want people to share their experiences with us. I would want to consider us more of a motorcycling enthusiast center. Mm-hmm. That also, yes. If you do decide to buy a motorcycle, hopefully you'll do it from us. We don't apply pressure. We simply let our passion and our enthusiasm for what we love doing do the work for us.
That's true. Like, you can come here, have a conversation with any of these guys. The staff here is really friendly. You hear me saying this over and over again, but they really are. I'll put the website link in the video description below. Come on down here, check him out. Say hi to the professor. If you see him across the room, just be like, "Hey, professor."
And you'll get a hay back.
You get a hay back.
Oh, we got another friend.
And we have a friend.
We have another friend.
Say hi.
Say hi to Sam, everyone.
I think Sam's ready, and so am I.
Okay.
So do you know what time it is still, Professor?
Bro, it's right o'clock, brother.
It's right o'clock. Let's go.
Well, if you're new to Bhroman, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. We put out content every week, and your support would mean a lot. Alright, so let's do our first test. Let's make a couple of U-turns and see how this puppy maneuvers, shall we? Haha, lightweight, shorter wheelbase. Yeah, U-turns are no problem. No problem at all. Which means it's time to do our second test, the pull test. We have it in road mode, and we'll go. Okay. So yeah, definitely not the quickest, but you can have fun with it. It can hustle, it can move when you push it, but yeah, that's how this bike is tuned. This is to have some normal fun with, not crazy Ducati Panigale sort of fun. Alright, so the first impressions of this bike, well, this is a tall bike with a narrow seat, and you're seated very upright. The handlebars are pretty good. You're not leaning out for them, they're not really pulled back towards you. But yeah, the seating position is upright and comfy. You're quite comfy. My legs are pretty comfortable as well. They're not bent weirdly or anything. And and I love how this bike just purrs along, Now, keep in mind, this bike has zero wind protection. None. Wind protection is non-existent. Well, it's a scrambler. There is no wind protection because there are no fairings, there are no windshield, nothing of that. Wind hitting me down below, up top, everywhere. It's a beautiful day today to ride, so no complaints from me. Let's check out the brake. The brakes, they are pretty good. Now, this is a pretty tall bike. I can flat-foot it on one leg very easily if I put both feet down. I'm not at my tippy toes, but I'm at the balls of my feet. Now the seating position is pretty good. The seat is decently comfortable. I mean, it is a pretty narrow seat, and I have a big butt, so it's not uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not like I'm sitting on a sofa either. It's pretty it's good. And check out this, it's a Ducati, so of course the balance is gonna be awesome. It's you can flick it around all day. It has that really steep rake angle of 24 degrees, so handling is not a problem at all. I love the foot pegs. It's got like these little rubber inserts, which is gonna help when you go off-road, I guess, because when you're going through mud and water and stuff, you don't want the metal pegs to get slippery and your foot slips, or if you're trying to stand up, you slip and you fall down. That's not gonna be pretty. I've said this over and over again, like I love twins and V-twins, the chugga-ness of the twins. This is no different. This is an L twin. This is an L twin, so, but it still has a different, it has a chugga, but it's a different sort of a chugga. Like, it's a very busy motor, so it's a higher revving motor than the regular V twin. So this is like yeah, let's go, let's do something. Like, it's very antsy. Antsy of sorts. Oh, and speaking of balance, you can also do this. You want to stand up and ride, you can do that. Stand up and ride. That's the best thing about the position of the foot pegs as well. Like, they're right on the right way of feet would be if you're trying to stand up, so you don't have to move them forward or backward. I like it. No first impression would be complete without the looks of the bike, and I think this motorcycle looks beautiful. It just looks beautiful. I mean, it's got the throwback Scrambler design, but with the color combination and everything, the gold colored wheels, it's just a pretty looking bike. Now if you drop this bike as you're going off-road or whatever, here's the other thing. This bike is the way they've designed it, like the panels on the side of the fuel tank, you can change them easily. You don't have to change the whole fuel tank, and like it's on the side, so that's where it's going to take the brunt of the damage. Or if you hit shrubs and tree branches or whatnot, so you can change that out. And even the turn signals, like I remember I mentioned that they look sort of not super high quality and a little bit cheap, but that's the whole reason. Like if you're taking it off-road, you're going to drop it, you're going to hit stuff, you're going to break stuff, and you don't want to be changing an expensive part over and over again. So that's a very good thinking on their part as well. And these mirrors, these are big, beautiful mirrors. You can see a lot out of them. Usually on sports bikes, what you see out of the mirrors are basically your shoulders and nothing else. But not on this, you get a good view of the road behind you, of people behind you. So now, would this be a good motorcycle for commuting? I think so. Now, it's not got a whole lot of power, but it's got decent enough power. There is no wind protection, there's no storage spaces per se, but you could, if you're okay with carrying stuff in a backpack, you should be fine. And yeah, it's gonna be fun to ride to work and just have a stupid grin on your face, I guess. How about touring? Well, yeah, this is not a touring motorcycle at all. This is not meant for long distance touring or whatever. So this is not a touring bike. Nope, not good for touring. What this is good for is urban riding and taking it where the paved road ends. Now, I don't know if you could do some real serious off-road stuff with it or not, but just going by the looks of the bike and the design and the power, I think you should be good enough to do your normal off-road activities, fire roads, and the occasional stream and some mud maybe. And you know, if you change the tires to super knobbies, you can pretty much do whatever. Now, would this be a good bike for beginners? Actually, I think yes, this could be a good bike for beginners. And if you're not looking at the Desert Sled per se, but there are other Ducati Scrambler models, these would be a good entry level or a good beginner bike. They are budget friendly. They're right around the $10,000 to $13,000 range, depending upon which one you get. They're quite lightweight, 400 some pounds. Not a whole lot of power. You get a decent amount of power, 70 horses, 50 foot-pound of torque, but enough to have some fun with, in my opinion. So yeah, this would be great for beginners. And this could be your beginner Ducati. I would have never imagined saying that a Ducati is a good beginner bike, but here we go. So in conclusion, the Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled, it's a throwback looking bike. It looks really cool, it looks really awesome. This is great for urban touring, going around town, doing a little bit of off-roading, fire roads, or a little bit of fire roads, gravel roads, all of that should be fine with. Not great for touring at all. You could use this for commuting. And yeah, I think these Scramblers are great for beginners. There's even a 400cc version of the Scrambler. I think it's called the 62. Now this is a tall bike, but it's quite maneuverable. You're sitting upright. The suspensions are really good. You have almost 8 inches of suspension play in the front and rear shocks. The suspension eats up a lot of these bumps on the road as well. So it's good on the street. It's got good power for a beginner bike, or just for you to have fun with. Like if you ride it wide open, you can get it up there. Yeah. And the one thing I'd say is like the seat though. Yeah, it's a narrow seat, and I've been riding it for what, about half an hour or an hour now. Yeah, and my butt does feel a little numb. Maybe you need to change the seat to a more comfort seat and you'll be good to go. Well, is this the bike for you? I'd say head down to your local Ducati dealership and take one out for a spin. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Keep your knees in the breeze. I'll see you soon. Bro out.